So my computer says 11, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. If you have not logged in your name and library, go ahead and do that in the chat, and then we'll go ahead and get going. So I just want to say I'm a little bit nervous because this is the first time I've ever had to be the lead person on a Zoom call, but I know all of you guys will give me grace. If I screw it up, you'll just, yeah, shake your head and go on and still like me. I hope so. Anyway, are there any new public comments? Somebody from not on the committee would like to bring something up?
I actually have something.
Go ahead.
And it's kind of related to, we're probably going to talk about the emails this morning. But we were talking about tape in the listserv this morning, and using tape on you know what I'm trying to say, that form that I can't come up with right now in my brain. But if my staff, like if my circ staff are doing that, I would want to know specifically. So like if somebody gets something that, you know, someone has just wrapped tape around the whole book, I would want them to contact me and say, hey, I got this from you guys. This is best practices, et cetera, so that I could talk to my staff about that. Because when we get the emails to the listserv, I understand we're trying to reach everybody, but I have no idea, you know, is this something I need to handle? Because I don't deal with those slips. It's the out front staff that do. And so in the past, when I've had issues, I try to go to the person that, like, where the item came from. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents.
Thank you, Darcy. You're exactly right. If I can know where this happened, and if all we need is the barcode of the item, like I replied, that if there are temporary RFID tags still on your items when they arrive at your library, give me the barcode number so I can tell what branch missed it or what branch is putting them in the wrong place. Otherwise, I just tell 80 people, please do it this way, and I can't narrow it down to know who's making the mistakes. I won't get mad and my feelings won't be hurt. If a library writes to me and shows me pictures or sends me barcodes and says, this is how our item arrived back at us. I've gotten some of those before and I've been appalled to see what staff are doing, but I really want to know. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one then.
So rubber bands are our friends sometimes, and also perhaps a paper clip. If anybody else has any other ideas that they've done, especially in those board books, I always worry that the little transit slip is going to fall out. So I don't know if anybody has any other good tricks and stuff, chime in. All right, anything else? Okay, not hearing anything. I'm going to go on. This may be a pretty short meeting, but I figure most of us don't mind getting out of here faster rather than slower. So anyway, the first thing on here is a bug, and I'm going to let Diane talk a little bit about that.
You may have noticed that when a patron has checked out as many items as you allow at your library, a note will come up saying that they have exceeded the checkout limit, even when they've only met the checkout limit. And that's confusing to staff. And if they try to explain it to a patron, it's confusing to the patron too. So there is a bug to try to change the wording on that. And Rhonda's put that on the agenda. So if you want to add heat to that, so we can get that fixed, so it won't tell your patrons that they've exceeded their checkout limit when they really haven't.
All right, does anybody, if Diane has a handy dandy little sheet that she has sent out before telling you how to do that. If anybody needs that, those instructions again, Diane, would it be okay if they just emailed you?
Yes, that'd be fine.
Okay, so if you need instructions, email Diane and then you can get in on any bugs that come in the future. It wouldn't have to just be this one. Okay, going on to transit slips. I just wanted to put out a reminder again that any item that's moving from one library to another library needs to have a transit slip included. I remember when Cass County first came in, we didn't realize, or we didn't think through all of that. And so if things were going back to their home location, we were not putting a transit slip in it. But it really is helpful to people who receive that transit and have to process it out to various branches if that transit slip is in there. So go ahead and make sure that it's in there for every single item that is being transited. So, I mean, I speak from being one of the ones who didn't do it at the beginning, so. All right. Number 3, claims return count field. We don't fortunately have to mark things, claims returned very often. And it seems like before we did the upgrade to 3.8, when something miraculously reappeared, however that came about, the count would go back down on, it would lower it back down to like 0. If they had 1, it would go back to 0. That is,
Or they say they brought it back.
well, or yeah,
And
yeah.
it's, no, I brought it back. Then we would mark it as claims returned.
Right. Well, after we've done due diligence, you know, we've looked for it, and the perhaps an owning library has looked for it and that kind of thing. What is happening now, though, is it lowers the count on one location of the record, but not on another. So I don't know. I'm pretty new with all this sharing thing. So let me see if I can get to, I don't know if I guess I have to go to and share this and then go here maybe. Okay, so here, this was our practice account. I was training some people and talking about claims returns. And so you'll notice over on the left-hand profile side, it says claims returned 0. But if you go down here to claims return count, it's saying that there are 3 claims returned things on this account. So in order to make those match, you would have to go into that edit field, and then you can manually change either up or down. So it's going to take it off over here, and you're looking at the account and it's going, there's no claims returns. But in reality, it's keeping track of it over here, which only turns into a problem if, like, Cass County has a maximum of 3 claims returned for your whole library career. And if you brought something back, we want that count to drop back down. So if your library doesn't work that way, it probably doesn't make any difference. But we were having trouble with people coming to me going, why can't I do this? So I just wanted to bring that forward to everybody. Is there any questions about that?
Did you check to see if there's a bug about that?
I have not. When I talk to my tech people, they seem to think that this was a standard thing in Evergreen now. I don't know, perhaps we could create a bug. I don't know.
Yeah, because that, even if they were thinking, Well, maybe you want to keep track of how many somebody's ever
record.
claimed. So in their whole life history, but then you should name it something different.
Well,
So
and
it
it
doesn't-
controls our thing, because if something were, I mean, I was doing this in practice to where I was going to get to the fourth one to show them what happened. And it would not let me do it because of this number right here was already 3.
Huh. Yeah, let's dig into that, see if there's a bug about that somewhere, if somebody's got some kind of reasoning. But then that, like you said, that that's going to stop a patron from checking something out, that's not good.
Right. I mean, it's fixable on our end, but we just have to remember to go back in anytime a claim's returned comes back, we have to go and find who, because of course it's going to come in through the book drop.
Of
And
course.
so you're not going to have the patron right in front of you. You have to go back, find who that patron was, and then manually adjust that.
Yeah, which can be virtually impossible.
Well, it's
Yes.
time consuming at least.
Yes.
Not incredibly, but plus you just have to remember, and it doesn't happen all that often. So, questions on that from anybody?
We don't use claims returned because it stays on the patron's record and they can see it on their online account. And then they call and say, I told you I returned that thing. So we don't use that here.
Okay. The very last thing that I had on the agenda was just, I saw a discussion about, maybe a couple of weeks ago about the cataloging committee, I think, going back and forth talking about bootlegged DVDs. And the reason I decided to put it on the agenda is, as fate would have it, just in the last week, something came through to us. And the only reason we realized it was because we had gone out trying to look for this item for a patron. They had requested it, and it's like, okay, it's not available anywhere. How do we now have this copy, this DVD? I really sincerely don't believe any Missouri Evergreen is going to purchase anything intentionally that was bootlegged, but it's tricky sometimes on how to recognize that. Kate sent out a really good thing about a week or 2 ago about how to recognize some of those things, but I think, and from talking to my cataloger, they just suggested that we contact the other library and just express our concern. If you don't want to contact that library, you can send it to the CAT Help. It's called CAT Help, CATHELP, at MissouriEvergreenLibraries.org. And that email gets sent out to multiple catalogers, and they can help you then address the issue with the owning library cataloging department. So I know it was helpful to me to read that information from Kate. So it came out on the listserv probably, I don't know, a week or 2 ago. So you might want to look back and see if you haven't deleted it. Just some help on that. I don't think it's going to come up very often. It's just, I was like, wow, I just read about this and now here it is. So anyway, that's why I added it on.
Do you think that would be something useful to send to Ron or ask Kate if they would consider putting on the cataloging page on the Evergreen website just as a reference point?
Possibly, if you think it would be helpful to lots, that's a good idea, Meredith. I will reach out to them and see if they can get that put on there.
Great. I just personally hate going through a slew of emails trying to find that information.
I know. Well, and if you're like me, I get like it's not really 500, but it seems like 500 emails every single day. And then to go back and find it is just tricky.
And just to rewind for a second, Mickey did add in the chat, which I know is hard to monitor, that about when an item is marked claim return, the value in claims return count field in the patron record is automatically increased. Staff can manually adjust this count by editing the patron record. So you could take it back down, but it's cumbersome to try and catch that, I'm sure.
Right, exactly.
And it's strange that it automatically does it one place, but not the other. I'm flummoxed by that. And the bootleg DVDs, that information that Kate sent out was wonderful, and I've copied it, and I'm going to share it with our search staff when we do our annual refresher training, just so they're aware, you know, if you have more eyes looking for things, they might catch it.
Well, because I do believe it's going to be your frontline staff that probably notice it, because once it's into the catalog, however it got there, it's not going to, the catalogers are not going to be the
Not gonna
ones
find-
seeing it,
Mhm.
so. Okay, so I will ask them to see if they can get that onto the website. In old business, the cataloging committee still needs some people. So I have put a contact on there if you know somebody that's interested. Or even if they aren't outwardly interested, could be persuaded and they would be a good fit for that committee. That is the email that you can reach out to Greg to find out more about that.
Rhonda, I just wanted to let everybody know that Greg will be leaving us permanently at the end of August. His contract ends. He is currently working, as some of you already know, for Ferguson Library in the St. Louis area. He's gotten a full-time position there. So he's phasing out of his responsibilities with Missouri Evergreen. He's continuing to do all the certification, grading, and all that work and making sure that that happens through the end of August. He'll also be doing a very interesting session at the Missouri Library Association conference the following month on the process, and it should be very good PR for Missouri Evergreen, since he's going to be talking about how that certification process was implemented and the benefits that the catalog has gotten from having certified members using it. So Greg is leaving us, in case anyone was unaware of that. We are in the process of interviewing another consortium cataloger who will continue Greg's work in the new fiscal year. Thanks.
That's wonderful. He's done it. He's done a great job, by the way.
Sure
you know,
has.
getting all that accredited, the catalogers, you know, that all kind of on the same page. That was a ton of work and he did a great job on that. So. Okay, does anybody have anything else that they would like to bring before the committee?
Mickey, have you heard any rumblings about things that the executive board wants the circulation committee to address?
No, I think the circulation committee seems to be doing a really good job of identifying issues that pertain to everybody, which I think is great. There has been no particular issue that's come up that the circulation committee has been identified as needing to address. I do appreciate that issues like the ones that are on the agenda today are put out for discussion, and that we have a sense of what sort of issues might arise. So really, I think the information flows the other way. We want to hear from the committee about what other kinds of issues might be bubbling up from membership, so that we can address them or help address them in some other way. So thank you for asking them. That's great.
All right, well, if there is nothing else that we want to discuss, I think I'm just going to go ahead and say that is our meeting for today. We will meet again next month. Ooh, and I meant to look up the date and I didn't. I don't have it on
Looks like it's the 23rd.
of August.
Mhm.
then. Okay. Well, we will adjourn and I will see as many of you as possible back in August. So.
Nice job of
Okay.
cheering today. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks, Rhonda.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Rhonda.